Man, you are a fast, humble thinker. John Black. I don't remember seeing you here before. Oh, no, John. I don't need new intro music. Oh, you're making your way to Las Vegas. Yes, 2 in a row for Humble Thinker. You know what? He's on his way to Vegas. He needs the Pine Points. I'm going to give him 2,000 Pine Points, but please don't spend it all at the same casino. Spread it around a little bit. Tropicana a little bit. Go to Luxor. See the Bodies exhibit. Maybe the Titanic exhibit. Where else should you go? Go to Treasure Island. They have a little adventures exhibit there. Yeah. Go hang out on the beach at Mandalay Bay. Look at the artwork by that store just east of the Aria. There's a nice little store there. What else should you do in Las Vegas when you're there? Oh, you could go see Randimals, my friend who sometimes here in the live stream chat, he lives in Vegas. Yeah, and if you are going to bet my Pine Points that I've just given you on the roulette wheel, bet it on red. Okay, guess what I'm going to do? Yeah, you saw it. I had fun yesterday. I haven't done a lot of interviews lately, and there's a reason for that. The reason why I haven't done a lot of interviews is I'm fatigued. I'm tired of just hearing the same things all over again in interviews. Now, I'm still doing it I'm still a sucker for punishment. I'm still doing it critiquing different videos that I'm watching. But for people, I think a lot of my longtime listeners, I think even Christians feel this way, right? They feel the same way I do. Christians, you know what I'm thinking, right? Christians, you know what I'm thinking. Just like I know what you're thinking. Let me get rid of the blue here. For some reason, my computer's lagging more when that blue screen is on. And so, what's there left to talk about, really? People who, conscientious Christians, Muslims, Mormons, who have done their due diligence, who have sincerely looked at the opposite side and still believe, they could probably predict the questions I'm going to ask and the criticisms on their own belief. And I can probably predict, most things that Christians would say. And we just have come to a disagreement. And that's that. But I have noticed that there are certain questions that bother Christians more than others. And I asked one of them yesterday during Mike Winger's live stream, and I want to play that for you. Hi, Elias, fake name. And hello from DB Cisco from LA. You use Pine Points at Costco? They redeem them at Costco? Wow, that's pretty good. That's my, no, I won't joke about that. I was going to joke that's my second job. I've always wanted to have that Costco tag on my lapel. But anyhow, listen to the question I asked. I got to set this up. The topic's on faith, and I really don't care how Christians define faith. I really don't. They can define it any way they want. But the thing is, for a lot of Christians, if you define faith as believing in something without evidence or pretending to know things you don't know, then Christians think you're not going to take them seriously, which I understand, and they think that you think they're stupid and dumb, and they don't want to feel stupid and dumb. They don't want you thinking of them as stupid and dumb. So please don't view faith in that way. Usually when I talk about, if that word comes up, I'll ask the person I'm interviewing, what do you mean by faith? And I tell you, I've had so many people in my live stream chat, not live stream chat, in my comment section of different videos that I've had over the past years. And they will use the word faith just like the stereotypical atheist thinks they should be using the word faith, like believing without evidence. And, I can't prove it, but I just have faith. How many times have you heard that? So that word is used in that way often. But anyhow, so the question of faith came up in this video, and I think Mike defines it as trust based on evidence. Trust based on evidence. So I asked a question about this.
Their level of faith. If so, do you have more to me? All right. So AJ has sent me over some questions. The first one is from PineCreek, and I really appreciate you guys joining me. Doug, thanks for joining me, man. Doug is an atheist who is also a street epistemology type guy.
I find it interesting that Mike has to let people know who I am. I also find I don't mind it that he calls me, the first thing he says, hey, here's Doug. Like, how many people does Mike Winger, before he reads the question out, says, oh, this person is a Christian and does this or whatever, and now here's the question. This is Mike's way of warning people. When a conservative evangelical Christian hears the word atheist, the full armor of God has to come up and to protect them. Or the whole idea of, okay, oh, he's an atheist. Okay, now I got to take everything into consideration, his worldview and stuff. So I can't take this question too seriously because it's coming from an atheist who can't justify or have a foundation for anything logical. So, I've been around Christians long enough that I know this is how some of them think. And so I find it interesting that Mike has to do this.
He kind of, sometimes he says he is, sometimes he says he's not really, and I don't know. Seems like he is to me, but he says, can one rank their level of faith? If so, do you have more faith that a pin will fall down to the floor if you drop it, or the resurrection of Jesus?
Okay, before I play his answer, let me just repeat the question in case you didn't quite hear it. The question is, if faith is trusting based on evidence, then can we rank this trust? Can we rank this faith? Can we say that you have more faith in one thing versus another thing? More trust in one thing over another thing? Like I would say I trust my wife more. I have more faith in my wife than a stranger, for example. That's fair, right? That we can rank this? So now, since I asked the question about ranking, I asked, can you rank your faith, your trust in that a pen will fall when it's let go, fall to the ground, versus your faith in the claim that Jesus rose from the dead in the resurrection? And here's Mike's answer.
Well, I don't know that you can compare those things. One is a predictive thing about the future. One is a statement about history. So
that's true.
In one sense, a pin is based on natural laws. It's like I repeat it over and over again, so I can highly expect it'll happen again. But with the resurrection of Jesus, because it's a past event, it's fixed. It's like either it happened or it didn't. There isn't even any guessing about it, whereas I'm sort of predicting the future. So in one sense, the resurrection of Jesus is more reliable. On another sense, because the resurrection of Jesus is a distant event.
Listen.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was so close. He was so close to saying it, but he couldn't say it. He couldn't say, because it's such a far past event, yeah, I should lower my trust or confidence or faith in it. He was so close, but he can't say it, and I know why he can't. The reason why he can't is because of verses like this, Matthew 10:33. But whoever disowns me before others, I will disown before my Father in heaven. I know these people. I know Christians like Mike. I used to go to the same denomination church as him. And for him to be in public in front of potentially thousands of Christians who will watch it on the replay, for him to admit that I have more faith in this pen dropping than I do on the resurrection, for him to just admit that brings up, I think, fear and stuff like this. Whoever disowns me before others, I disown before my Father in heaven. I really, truly believe this is what's happening. And it's so sad to me, actually, because there are Christians out there who can do this. I've met them. I've talked to them. I've met Christians who can say, yes, Doug, I have more faith. In fact, I've asked this question several times in the past. Is your confidence higher in God or in Jesus rising from the dead? I've had a few Christians admit to me, oh, my confidence is higher in God compared to Jesus rising from the dead. In other words, a God could exist, but Jesus never did rise from the dead. This is the same type of question. Is your confidence higher that a pen will fall when you let go, or that Jesus rose from the dead? Now, some Christians can admit, yeah, my confidence is higher for the pen, but my confidence is still high for resurrection, but the pen's higher. I can admit that. But Christians like Mike can't even go there. And it's because there is so much at stake for him and for others that if he does go there, if you start comparing Jesus to other claims and admit that Jesus is not at the top, then somehow the foundation starts to crumble. I think that's what's going on. And I recommend, I've done this, I've asked this question not only for things like the resurrection compared to a pen, but for things within the Bible itself, the claims within the Bible. Have Christians rank them. And same with Islam. Have Muslims rank certain claims within the Quran. Have Christians rank certain claims within the New Testament. Have Mormons rank certain claims within the Book of Mormon. And say, okay, here's 10 claims. Which one do you have the most faith in, the most trust in? And which one do you have the least trust in? And you got to reassure them that all of them are trustworthy. All these claims are trustworthy and reliable and so forth. But if you were to rank them, and again, Christians like Mike cannot do that. Because once they do, then it forces them to now think through evidence for historicity and why one claim is stronger than another. But then once they do that, then they're viewing the Bible as a historical text and not an inspired word of God. And that whole reliability thing starts to come into question because they're basically not just saying, oh, all of this is inspired, all of this is true, case closed, we're done. No, they have to start to critically examine it and say, maybe this claim in the Bible is true or likely to be true, and maybe this claim in the Bible is not true or not likely to be true. And once the Christian, fundamentalist, conservative type Christian starts to think like that, man, they're in trouble. So that's my advice. Ask questions like that. And you got to remember, like, this is their core beliefs. Their identity is wrapped into this. And since their identity is wrapped into it, it's going to cause friction inside their mind. You can smell the diesel fuel burning inside from the gears in their brain when you ask questions like this. But if you assure them that, okay, I'm granting you that everything in the Bible is reliable, but can you please just rank them for me? Like, which is more reliable than that? I did this with one pastor once, and at first he went along with it, and then he saw where it was going. He just had to say, no, it's all reliable. It's just, he refused to go there. A pastor just refused to go. He couldn't even say, like, for example, if you want to be really specific on how to do this, one criteria on the historical method is, I'll give you two criteria. The first criteria is more than one independent source is better than just one independent source. Most Christians would admit that. Another thing is, everything else being equal, something closer to the event, written closer to the event, is better or preferred than something written way after the event. In other words, if Jesus rose from the dead, it's better that someone wrote about it 5 years after compared to 5,000 years after. And most Christians would agree with that as well. So now if you just take those two criteria and go through each claim in the New Testament and have them rank it based on those claims, they will see very quickly with their own eyes that the claim of the 500 that Jesus appeared to is only mentioned once. And therefore, they should lower their faith. They should lower their confidence. They should lower their trust that ever happened, compared to, let's say, that Jesus was crucified. And I tell you, once they see that, it's like it forces them to get out of that everything's inspired, this is all the Word of God mode, and it forces them to start thinking critically. So I strongly suggest you guys try that. And maybe I will start doing more Christian interviews again, or Muslim interviews, whatever, theist. But again, it's at some point, like, do you guys even find it enjoyable anymore? Andrew says, Christianity is based on fear. I can attest to this. This applies especially for people who don't have critical thinking skills. They are, in a sense, trapped. That's why we need guys like PineCreek. Thanks, Andrew. I do think that there's, in fact, you know what? There is a apologetic group called, what's their name? They're on Twitter. I follow them. They did a survey recently, and they posted it to the public. And so I downloaded it. And so I have access to survey questions of something close to over 1,000 Christians that they surveyed. And it was on the concept of hell. And if they believed in hell, what type of hell, and based on their education level, income level. And Andrew, I'm saying this because I honestly think the poorer you are, the less educated you are. If you're from a poor rural community, for example, you're more likely to believe in the traditional view of hell compared to if you live in northeastern United States and you make over $150,000 a year. Your view of hell, and you're a born again Christian, but your view of hell is softer. Why is that? If truth is truth, why do we see these things? And the theory is pretty simple. The theory is, if you're oppressed, if you feel oppressed, if you feel like you got the raw deal in life, because you don't make as much money as you think, let's say you're in poor health or whatever, if that's you desire this sense of ultimate justice. But if your life is good and all your friends' life is good and good health, and you're happy, you love life, and hell is just it's an unsettling thing to think about. So I do think one's theology is many times based on where they're at in life, their personality types, which just shows how terrible using an old ancient text is for coming to this thing we call truth. Oh yeah, Camille, you're right. I speed up videos, so when you speed me up, it's a devious scheme. Yeah, I had someone else tell me that too, that when I speed my videos up when I'm watching them, then when you watch them on the replay and you try to speed me up. But here's the solution, Camille, and for all those who want a solution. You get an extension on Chrome called Video Speed Controller, and then you have hotkeys, and when I'm talking, you slow me down. No, speed me up. And when the apologist or pastor is speaking, you slow it down if you want to hear what they're saying. So you can just use hotkeys to speed it up, slow down. Doug, do more UK apologists like McClatchy. There's a separate breed. Maybe, but I've done McClatchy. I've had him on a couple times. I've had Lennox on, not on, but I've critiqued him. Who else have I done from Britain? Oh, I've talked to the McGrews. Well, the McGrews are not from Britain. What am I talking about? I think that's it. But isn't it the lack of justice on this earth that causes atheism? I must have missed a step. I don't know what you're talking about, Franklin. But do you guys want me to interview people, knowing you just want to? And what type of people? I've asked, a lot of the people. Oh, by the way, Tom Jump, T Jump. I think is it an hour and 12 minutes that he's on? He has a lot of philosopher types on. I've asked a lot of philosophers on to my show, but I think they realize that if they come on, it's going to be less about philosophy and more about the stuff they really believe, and they don't want to go there. The philosophers don't want to talk about what they really believe. The guy that Tom Jump had on today, he was promoting the ontological argument. I am 90% confident that he believes Jesus sent demons into pigs. And I would ask him about that. So here you got this, is he a PhD in philosophy? Talking about the ontological argument. And then a guy like me would just ask him, well, do you believe Jesus was an exorcist and put demons into pigs? Yeah, I do. Oh, interesting. They don't want to be asked these questions. Yes, keep interviewing. Interview all different kinds of people. Yeah, Dr. Brown, T-Jump's debating Dr. Brown. I have interviewed Michael Brown before. This should be interesting. Michael Brown's a great guy. He's a Pentecostal type. I like him. I think he's crazy, but he's likable. I'm not sure if it's in 11 minutes or an hour and 11 minutes, but don't worry, either way, I'll be gone by then. PineCreek, why don't you interview Moshe here? He or she can talk all that shit in chat. Who's Moshe? Oh, Moshe right there above you, blue color. I gave it to you. Oh, well, here's the thing. When I do interviews, I demand, I've made exceptions in the past, but I demand that they show their face. That excludes right away, half the people just go away. I don't want to show my face. But I'm not going to be, it's not going to be a fun interview if I don't enjoy the topic, don't enjoy the person. Yeah, I haven't done why I no longer go to church sermons like these in a while. Yeah, I think it's been more than a month. But the thing is, yeah, they're all getting repetitive. If I take a sermon that's about, I don't know, baptism or something, atheists are not going to care about that. If I'm critiquing the topic of baptism, Christians, they got their guys where I don't know. The only sermons that interest me are the ones where we get to the brass tacks, where we get to what really counts. Is this really true or not? Are the core propositions true or not? Why do you think they're true or not? Those are the type of sermons I like, but they're actually pretty few and far between. John Black, I have There's some like real cool hip guy in the Roman Catholic Church who does videos. I've critiqued one of his. I have interviewed one or two Catholics before, at least one, or Catholic leaning, more Orthodox maybe. I don't know. The Catholics are, they're how you handle a Catholic compared to Protestant is very interesting as far as interviewing. Most Catholics are more, it's all about tradition. They're almost more like Jews in a way. It's tradition. It's not just the Bible. And they're also more relational, personal, wishy-washy, intangible, relationship, experiential. They're almost like a calmed down Pentecostal version in a way, with heaps of tradition piled on top. Yeah, I do enjoy doing the debate reviews. Hey, Tom, I didn't see you were here. Is it in 12 minutes or an hour and 12 minutes that you're talking? Or an hour 7? I think it's an hour and 7, right, Tom? Have you had Matt Slick on before, Doug? No, but I'm not officially, but I have interviewed or asked questions of Matt Slick before, and I have the video or the audio, but I haven't released it, and I won't release it until he gives me permission to, which he has not. I could release it. I might change my mind and release it, just like that other guy did. But Matt Slick, like all these, he's another example of someone who has these philosophical arguments. He uses the tag philosophical argument. But I've interviewed him. I can tell you what the interview was. Basically, it was a story of how he met Jesus, how he was brought down to his knees in sorrow, and that's when he experienced Jesus. Like, the guys that Tom Jump talks to, these guys who have all these degrees, although at Christian universities, when it comes right down to it, they don't believe because of any of those arguments. It might help them stay in the belief, but like they have experiences like Matt Slick of just bawling, they're feeling, they're witnessing something they can't explain, or they were born and raised in it, it just makes sense to them. So human beings are really good at ad hoc, post hoc reasoning. Especially the more intelligent you are, the better you are at doing it. So that's how you can be a Christian and have an IQ of 140 and still believe this stuff, because you can rationalize it better if you have a higher IQ. You can say, but the ontological argument, it's just, it's a great argument. William Lane Craig is in the green room right now, but unfortunately we ran out of time. I have to go pick up my son from school. But I'll be there. Go to Tom Jump's channel, T-Jump. Go see him talk to Michael Brown. I'll be there. And use those questions, those ranking questions. Thanks, guys. Poof.